you tired of your boring job? Do you just wish you could just hang out with dogs all day? In this video, I'm going to share with you what I've learned in 9 years running a dog daycare, how I started it from a small little startup and grew it into a 6-figure business, and all the mistakes that I've made along the way and how you can avoid those mistakes so that you can grow faster and be way more successful. Let's get straight into it. Hi, I'm Annie from Cotton's Crash Doggy Daycare. I've been running this business for 9 years and I'm here to teach you guys how you can start your own doggy daycare and make it a successful 6-figure company. I started my doggy daycare completely randomly. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. I finished uni and all my friends got jobs in media industries, and I ended up traveling and doing some exploring, went to Australia, came back. And when I was about 23, I stumbled across a video that was explaining what the Princess Trust Enterprise Scheme was about. And it was a 3-day business course where they would teach you the ins and outs of how to start and run a business. So I had nothing better to do. I was doing part-time shifts in restaurants. I was doing housekeeping. I loved those things, but I needed to find something that I could do full-time and get the ball rolling on what I was going to do for my career. I also had a little rescue Bichon called Cotton who would not be left on her own. She'd howl the place down. She hated everyone apart from me. She was very, very nervous of a lot of people, and it took her years to come round to even really close family members. And I'd be working in the restaurant, I could hear her howling upstairs in our flat above, and it was just terrible. We just had to find a way where I could have a business, where I could run something, where Cotton could be with me. That was the only thing that I had in my mind. What can I do where Cotton can be with me every day so that I don't have to leave her in someone else's care because no one wanted to look after her? And what could I do? You know, she was about 14 years old. I didn't want to really put her through much stress at that age. So I thought, let's go to this Princess Trust Enterprise Scheme that was in Swansea. It wasn't too far away from where I am. I'm down in Pembrokeshire. It was just a short train journey, 3 days, 4 days, and I would learn all this stuff, and it was free for me. So the Princess Trust, it still is running today. They still got this enterprise scheme. It's UK wide. So if you're between the ages of 18 and 30, this scheme applies to you, and there's plenty of places all over Britain where you can do this 4-day course. They teach you so many things. I learned more in those 4 days than I learned in the entire school, entire university. I couldn't believe what I was hearing and how people get stuff done and how businesses run. Just couldn't believe it. I was sitting around this table then in the Liberty Stadium learning all these things that this wonderful woman was teaching us. And I always watched Jenna Marbles on YouTube. And I remember her saying that she took her dogs to a doggy daycare. And I thought it was the most fantastic idea that I'd ever heard of. And I thought, oh, well, maybe that's the thing. So I'm just going to write that down on a piece of paper because I actually have no idea what I'm going to do. So I wrote down some possible ideas. I wanted to kind of name it after Cotton if it was going to be a dog business. And the word crash worked quite well because it had alliteration with Cotton, so it had a good ring to it. And I just thought, oh, I'll just write it down. I'll just, it sounds quite nice. And it was literally seconds. Like I was just like, oh, maybe a doggy daycare. And like, what could I name it? I'll just name it Cotton's Crash. So 9 years later, that decision was really good for me. But I'm going to link in the description all the stuff that you need to know if you want to do the same route as me. Obviously it's just for the UK, but it's really, really helpful. They give out loads of pamphlets. They hold your hand all the way through it. So Lee was my Princess Trust mentor. She was so great. She'd meet me in work. So after I finished my shift, we could sit down in the restaurant and we went through all my business plan, so detailed, every little bit. And then after, I think it took about 6 months of planning this out, knowing what I was going to do, how much funding I'd need. You really had to go into depth of what it couldn't just be like a random dream that you had. You had to really plan it out, but she helped you with all of that. It was so good. After about 6 months, I had to go in front of a panel of, I think there's these 4 men, what I can remember. And I thought, oh God, they're gonna think that I'm just like completely loopy. Some blonde girl who's like, I'm gonna play with dogs all day and people are gonna pay me for it. weirdly, I don't know, they just might have liked to be on the day, but they were very stern, and they just, they didn't show any emotion, and I had no idea how it was going to go, but I just went blah, 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 and just told them everything that I had been gearing up to tell them how it's going to work, and I answered questions. God knows, I just felt like I was completely fish out of water. I had no idea what I was doing. Then after that, went home, went to the pub, and we got the text saying that I had been awarded the funding. So the Prince's Trust, I think it might be called the King's Trust now, because obviously he's been promoted. They offer grant funding, which you don't have to pay back. They also do loan funding. So they'll weigh up what you need, how much you can put in yourself. If you've got any savings yourself, that really does help, because obviously they know that you're really invested that way. I couldn't recommend this route enough. You find out after you've started this that loads of other businesses that you will recognise have started this way with absolutely nothing to their name, some grant funding from this amazing setup, and they have flown with it. So it's definitely such a great route to use, and I will link it in the description if you want to have a look and you want to go down that route as well. I was very lucky that when I got back from Australia, my mum let me move into her house. So she was living somewhere else at the time. So I had the opportunity to rent this house, cover my mum's bills. And it was a little terrace house in this small little village. It had a long back garden, access at the back, which was really helpful. And I begged her to let me start this, and she has been the number one supporter of my dreams all of my life. So she was like, go on then. So we got loads of fencing. We had to have 6-foot fencing around the whole thing. We had to have double gated system at the front and back. Then we got the council guidelines. These council guidelines will differ from different areas all over the UK. So they're pretty similar. We went through them word by word, making sure that every box was ticked and that we knew exactly what they were going to ask when they came for the inspection. You do need a license. You can't do it without a license. Your insurance won't be valid. You need a license from your authority. Then you need insurance on top of that. Your licensed people will check your insurance so that everything's above board. So after they came out and inspected us, we were licensed then for 6 dogs. Oh, no, it was 5 dogs because I still had Cotton. Cotton absolutely hated that I started this business. She didn't like that there was any other dogs in her house. She was absolutely livid, but it gave me opportunity to spend loads of quality time with her. So it was worth it, even though she probably doesn't think so. I started off really small, so I had barely any overheads. I just had to try and get people to pay me to look after their dogs, which to me sounded ridiculous. Why is anyone going to pay me to sit at home with their dogs and entertain them throughout the day while they go off and do a job that they probably hate? Because I was absolutely loving the idea of doing this. My first ever customers they lived just down the road from me, and they were 2 lurchers called Ben and Sky. And I was so lucky to have this customer because I couldn't believe that they were not only willing to let me look after their dogs, but it was multiple days a week. So I started to see some real traction, and I was thinking, well, if one person could pay me to look after their dogs, then maybe there'll be others. My second one was Millie Barham. She's a little American Cocker Spaniel. She's absolutely wonderful. And then we had Bella Oates, we had Yoshi and Pekin, we had Rolo and Hero, and the list goes on and on. Like, there was Chloe the Husky. In a very short space of time, we went from barely, I remember writing £72. I've earned £72 for this entire week. And I was really thrilled about that at the time, because I was like, this is the start of something. I just couldn't believe, like, every time someone would message me being like, could I bring my dog to you? And I'd work out that would mean an extra, I think we were charging about £13 a day at the beginning, or maybe 11. But like every little penny added up to maybe I could make this my full-time job. Well, it was my full-time job. I had no other options. But yeah, so after about 6 months, I think it didn't take me long to get these dogs through the door. I used a lot of Facebook. So I Facebook marketed every single day. I sent out messages to all my local groups. You just join a load of local groups, anything in your area. We've got like Best of Pembrokeshire, Pembrokeshire Buy and Sell, all of these little groups that have actually got quite a lot of followers, and I shared all of my posts. I made posts on whatever app I had at the time, I can't even remember, but basic posts saying this is who I am, these are the dogs I look after, drop off at this time, pick up at this time. And I just got more and more messages through, and I was so excited. It was probably, looking back, probably one of the most exciting times of my life, because you just can't believe that it's coming true, and this thing that you weren't sure was going to work is actually starting to work. Every single day we would have lots of activities and agility and loads of things that I could obviously take a lot of photos of, a lot of videos of us doing all these things that I could then use on social media and then share to all the groups and then get more people. And one of the funny things that I did find is that we had our first Doberman quite early on, and I took this beautiful picture of him sitting, his name was Buddy, and he was my best friend. He was sitting on one of these podium things, and I took this really, really handsome photo of him. And then we got another 2 Dobermans join us. So every time we posted a good photo of a dog breed, we got loads more inquiries for that dog breed. So word of mouth and social media marketing was my main things. I didn't spend hardly anything on advertising. I think I bought some flyers, but I probably didn't give them out as much as I should have. I had some signs on the front window and on the back gate so that people walking past would see what I'm doing. So very quickly we got to maximum dogs a day, which was 5 dogs. And then just under a year after we started the business, Cotton passed away, and I had a couple of weeks off after that. But then we upped our numbers to 6 dogs a day. Obviously filled that very quickly. I started this business in May 2016, and not long afterwards, I think it was less than a year's time, we were at capacity. We couldn't have any more dogs, and I started hunting for a bigger premises. I really wanted this to go big. I went to the bank. I was very disappointed. They were just like, your financials just aren't good enough. We can't really justify lending you any money. We just don't feel like this is a viable business. You're going to have to do this and do that and then come back to us. And I remember sitting in the car and just being so pessimistic about the whole thing, and that I was never going to grow past this 6 dogs, and it was just always going to be a small business. And my mum drove us just not even far away from where we live, just to these units that she actually knew the guy who had these units, and she said, let's just try one thing. And I was in a grump. I didn't want to go. She pulled up at this place, and no word of a lie, it was the muddiest place. It had this unit with this PVC door and mud outside it, and then this wooden cabin. And I was like, where on earth are we? Like, what is this? And she got out the car, she started chatting to the neighbour that had a business next door, and she was saying that this unit is empty. And anyway, she came back to the car and she said, come on, Annie, let's go have a look inside, because he's got the key, he's going to show us. And I just can't believe that something like that, you never know, you can't ever know what opportunities are going to be there, and you've just got to be positive, because I was just like, this, what is this? But we had a little look around, and I started to come around to what this could actually look like. It was just a unit, an outside area that was just muddy, and then maybe like a reception area with the log cabin. But obviously it would need a lot of work, because it was full of other people's stuff. But it was some kind of opportunity, and it wasn't too far away from us. So we ended up messaging the owner of those units, and he's an absolute star. He's still our landlord to this day, and he's the nicest person that you'd ever want as a landlord. So we've been really, really lucky in that way. And he really helped us. He built all the fences for us. He's helped us anytime that we've needed him. So that's been really, really beneficial for us. It was the 1st of October that we took on the lease, and we said, right, we need 1 month free rent so that we can do all the changes to this place. And then we started our payment lease on the 1st of November. I was still running the 6 dogs a day business from my house, and I was on the phone every day seeing how things were getting on between the landlord and my mum. She was busy building all the reception desks. She's more of a dad than a mum. She's really handy with wood. She loves wood. She built all of our reception. She built the kitchen. She took a kitchen out of someone's house that they no longer wanted and rebuilt it in our creche area that we needed a kitchen. I would go there as much as I possibly could when the dogs went with me. Sometimes I'd even bring dogs and I'd put them in a little kiddie playpen so that they could join in. And I bought some red leather sofas. I bought some little toy games and painted the floor with bright colours with some kind of cheap garage floor paint that had nice colours to it. We just did the bare minimum of what we could possibly do to get that business up and running so that we could start on the 1st of November. One of my main bits of advice as I was building the new premises was to make all angles Instagrammable. I knew that my main marketing was Instagram, was Facebook, was people seeing these photos, sharing them, thinking they're hilarious, that it's a dog school, and word of mouth sharing it with their friends. So from the 1st of November, we started running from the new location, and it was very daunting because we obviously gone from 6 dogs and now we had a license for 26 dogs. So it was a bit of a leap up, but obviously I had more bills to pay now. I had like a big rent on top of my home rent that I was now responsible for, and I had no idea how I was going to make this work. I started to get a bit pessimistic. I passed my driving test because obviously I needed to get to this location. I hadn't needed a driving license before then. I passed my driving test and I soon realised that I just could not afford to even put fuel in the car. I thought, what is the point of me having this license when I won't be able to use it because I just can't afford the fuel? One day I had a mother and daughter come in with their dogs, and they wanted to book these dogs in a few days a week, and it was not just the daughter's 2 dogs, but it was also the mother's 2 dogs as well. And I did the trial, made sure that the dogs were all good, and then booked them in for all these different days. And I remember that those women left and I was just so excited because this meant that I could now afford fuel in my car. Each customer that we got through the door was such a big monumental time for me, because every time I would grin and be all relaxed and welcome their dog in, and inside I'm thinking we can now start paying for our bills, because before then I had no idea how we were going to cover our first month's rent. So since starting in November 2017 and slowly getting more and more dogs through the door, in about 18 months, we got to capacity of 26 dogs a day. We were very lucky that it completely took off. All of our good reviews, people were sharing with their friends on dog walks, saying you've got to come to Cotton's Crash. We were so thankful for our original bunch of people that just advertised us to everyone they met. And also all the birthday posts and Christmas posts that we did, Halloween pictures, really helped ramp up people wanting to bring their dogs to our doggy daycare. That's Maisie, the laziest thing in the world. Obviously, going from 6 dogs a day to 26 dogs a day, you're going to need some staff members. So I was really lucky that my mum jumped in. She helped. She worked 40, 50 hours a week for me. My best friend helped too. She was doing multiple days a week for me. And then it came to having to actually look for a few members of staff. The most important thing about running a doggy daycare is hiring a really good team. And we've been very lucky over the years to have had some absolutely amazing girls. And one boy joined our team and brought so much energy, and all of our owners have absolutely adored them. It's really important that you find people who are going to bring the team up and not have any bad vibes that they've brought along with them, which brings the team down. We're very happy, joyful. Well, aren't you going to be if you're spending every day with dogs? They've made it possible for me to step away, have some time raising my little boy, and I can trust that the crash actually works better when I'm not there. It's more clockwork. They're just better at it. I don't know how they do it, but it's very important that you find the right people, because the wrong people can ruin your reputation. If they're not very nice to the dogs, people won't trust you anymore. you need to make sure that those people have the same core values, love and dedication to those dogs. So as we grew more and more, we unfortunately had to hit that VAT threshold, which is a big hit for a lot of service businesses. I think it was £80,000 at the time we hit it. In my mind, there was no other option but to hit it and to carry on going, because I didn't want to curb our growth. But it's a big hit to take because service industries can't really claim much back. We were buying a bit of dog food, a bit of disinfectant, but we had nothing to put against it really. So it was just a big outgoing. We had to up our prices. Customers were really supportive of us, and that was such a big help. But it is such a jump to have to pay 20% of everything that you take in, and it just takes a big chunk off the top line, which is such a shame. But it's one of those things that you've got to do. We decided to smash through it. I know a lot of people try and stay under it. It's up to you how big you want your dog daycare to go. I had big dreams for it, so I wanted to just carry on and see how much more we could make. So some of the mistakes that I have made over the last 9 years, I'd say one of the main mistakes that I have made is hiring people that I have met in pub beer gardens. I hire people because I think that they're bubbly and that they are wonderful, and I should get to know them and hire properly. But I was very naive and I thought, oh yeah, these people sound nice. But you really need to do your due diligence. Due diligence. I can't say it. I have to say something else. Being a small business, you think that you can just hire people because you like them, and it's not going to really make much difference, but things can seriously go wrong, and you want to make sure that you're covered and that you know that these people are going to be good people. You need to do your references, do it all properly, because I didn't do it properly and I got myself into some sticky situations. Hire properly, hire slowly, fire fast is what I've learned over the years. You need to look for the most high energy, enthusiastic people that are hardworking, but also sensible human beings. Another mistake that I have made over the years, which I'm not sure if it is a mistake really, because I kind of needed to do it. I didn't have any other options. But at the beginning, the floor of our doggy daycare, the outside floor, was just rubble. It was big, large bits of stone. And when the dogs went to the toilet, it was very difficult to get the poo out of the stones. And we dealt with it for many, many months. And then after a while, I was like, right, we're going to concrete this entire area. I had bare minimum money. I borrowed, I think it was £7,000 loan to concrete it, which was about 12 metres by 18 metres. I think it was a lot of square metres to concrete. I spent about £3,000 on the concrete. I made it the thinnest amount of concrete I could possibly get away with because of the amount of money that I had to hand. And I also wanted to paint it, so I needed to save some money back for making it look nice after the concrete had set. A lot of companies wouldn't have wanted to do this because it was so thin, and a lot of people were like, you can't do it that thin. But one of our friends was like, we'll do it for you. We'll put the concrete down, and it looked great. It was stark white when it dried. And then I found a company that would paint it for us in this epoxy resin paint. Over the years, I have spent many times trying to paint floor for it to come off on the dogs. It's very, very difficult to find the perfect paint that will stay. It's UV resistant. It's got enough grip in it so that dogs don't slide around everywhere. It was an absolute chore to find the perfect paint. My mum actually did a lot of the research to find it, to make sure it was exactly what we wanted, because it was a lot of money that we were going to spend out for this. We found a really funny guy that has been doing our paint jobs since then to paint it, and so over the years I have spent the most money on that bloody outside flooring, and it looks fantastic. And if you go to my Instagram and my Facebook, you will see how it's eye-catching. It draws people in. We don't just look like all the other daycares with the AstroTurf. We have this funky multicolored outside flooring, all painted bright colors. And we've got some lake areas, some grassy areas, like a road going around the middle, and like a desert island in the middle. It's fantastic, and it's been one of the best things that have probably brought us a lot of business. But the outgoings, I'm still paying for that loan. I have had to have it redone over and over again because the concrete is so thin. It's got no damp proof membrane or whatever, and it cracks and the paint peels off, and I have to have it redone often. And if I was to go back in time, I would try everything to get a bigger loan. I'd still be bloody paying it off anyway. So get a bigger loan to begin with, get actual proper concrete that's a proper thickness for what we needed, a damp proof membrane, and then I would have spent less on paint over the years, because no word of a lie, I'll probably have to repaint it very soon. But yeah, that's another situation. But my advice to you would be to try and make it as long lasting as possible, even on a small budget, because then you don't have to go back over and over again and keep fixing it. Also, another mistake of mine over the years would be to over worry about competition. Like, if you know that you're on a path, you've got customers coming in and a lot of people are raving about you, I would overly worry and spend too much time focusing on they've got this or that doggy daycare's got this. But as long as you know what you're doing, you've got a unique seller. What's it called? USP. It might actually be that. You've got a unique selling point that makes your business different to the others. Early days, I really worried about what all these different doggy daycares were doing and how they had AstroTurf, and maybe that was better, and they had swimming pools and all these different things. And it's good to watch what other people are doing, but also don't over obsess about it, because as long as you're doing the best for your dogs and you are growing happily, then don't over stress about what other people are doing. And recently I've joined forces with some of our competition, and so that's been really good for us to bounce ideas off each other. It's so much better to be friends with your competition. We did actually go over and introduce ourselves and say, like, we're the doggy daycare around the corner, because it's better to work together. There is no need to be massive rivals with your competition. Use it to your benefit and stay friendly with them, because they can send some dogs your way and you can send some dogs their way. And you can also cross notes on dogs and owners that you've seen and warn each other maybe in advance of, like, don't go near that person or dog, just don't, scary. If you're interested in starting a doggy daycare, or you already have a doggy daycare that you'd like to scale and grow, or you have another type of dog business but you'd like to put daycare onto that, I'm going to have a free beginner's checklist for all the things that you're going to need to start a doggy daycare. If you head over to my Instagram, it's Annie Mariani or Cottons Crash, and you send us a message saying checklist, we will get that free PDF sent over to you. And please leave a message in the comments if there's anything that you'd like to see, you'd like us to cover, and we'd be more than happy to help you with that. I'm going to be making a lot more videos like this to really go into detail about all the different steps that you need to do, what we found helpful over the years and what we found really not helpful over the years, how to cope with big dogs, how to cope with small dogs, how to cope with beagles. There'll be a whole side video on how to cope with beagles and how much a beagle is going to cost you in repairs. But it's all worth it because they're very cute and it's very worth it. But just when a beagle books to come to your daycare, do put aside some money, because they will shred everything, including your water main. One dog ate our water main and flooded the whole place. No word of a lie. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not in the right thing. If you'd like to learn more about starting and running a doggy daycare, then please subscribe to our videos for more content like this, and watch our other videos to get more help on your journey. We'll see you in the next video.